Hello and welcome to the podcast that must not be named. I'm Melissa.
I am Luke.
And we are here discussing chapter number 25, The Egg and the Eye of Harry Potter and the Goblet of Fire. This chapter was a measly 21 pages long, which was only 2.86% of the book. Hey Benj, tell us what just happened.
Harry gathers the golden egg, the Marauder's map, and his invisibility cloak and sneaks to the Prefect's bathroom. It's a beautiful room with a pool-sized bathtub that Harry has fun playing with all the nozzles. After a few laps, he opens the egg up, only to have it wail at him again, and much to his shock, Moaning Myrtle pops up out of one of the taps to tell him to listen to it under the water. Hesitantly, he does so. Come seek us where our voices sound. We cannot sing above the ground, and while you're searching, ponder this. We've taken what you'll sorely miss. An hour long you'll have to look, and to recover what we took, but past an hour the prospect's black. Too late, it's gone, it won't come back. After a short period, Harry figures out that he's going to have to recover something from the bottom of the lake, which will be taken by the mer people. As he leaves the bathroom under the invisibility cloak again, Harry spots an odd name skulking around Snape's office on his map. Barty Crouch. Harry starts to head that way to investigate, however is caught up in the trick stare that always gets Neville. He loses its grip on the egg and the map, but the egg bangs open, causing a wail to fill the halls. Unfortunately, Filch is the one that finds it, and believes it's the work of Peeves. Snape arrives and accuses someone of being in his office when he suspects Harry is nearby under his cloak. Moody arrives, and even though he sees Harry stuck in the stairs, covers for him, telling Snape no one is there. After Snape and Filch leave, Moody pulls Harry free and they walk together. After examining the map a bit, Moody asks if he could borrow it because it would definitely help him in his investigations. Harry reluctantly lends it to him, and Moody gives him praise, telling him that he may want to consider a profession as an Auror.
All right, so Luke, did we meet anybody new or hear about anyone new in this particular chapter?
I will say we didn't meet anyone new. We had a named statue of Boris the Bewildered. I thought it was a good name. And we also had a reference back to Olive Hornby, who was the one that found old Moaning Myrtle's lifeless body in the bathroom. I don't remember if she was ever named in book 2, but I think she might have been when, Olive Hornby was giving me such a hard time and I was crying in the bathroom. But either way, haven't heard about her in 2 books at least. Worth mentioning again.
And excellent backstory.
Yeah,
big fan.
Absolutely.
We did. I'm so excited about this. We got to go somewhere new.
I know, it's been a little while, and these are exactly the reasons I love having the location introductions as a part of our show.
Yes, me too. So we got to go to, quite frankly, the one place in Hogwarts Castle I would want to see more than anything else. Personally, I think it might be my favorite location, and it's the Prefects bathroom, which is basically a private swimming pool.
Right? Yeah. I mean, I
with
love
bubbles.
I love the description of it, which I know we'll be talking about here potentially at length shortly.
Yeah, huge fan of the Prefects bathroom. Totally worth being a prefect just for that.
I know, right?
Yep. All right. Any magicabulary we saw there?
I didn't see any, other than, I guess, the first mention of mer people being in the story.
Really?
As far as I know, it's the first time they've been mentioned in the story. I'll do a quick search for it. I can get my Kindle running real quick. Mer people. First time the word mer people is used, for sure.
Excellent. Well, I'm interested in the idea that they might be living in the lake.
Same time, it's mermaid as well. First time the word mermaid is used in this book. So there we go.
Excellent. One more thing. We have an illustration to discuss.
We sure do. What do you see here?
Honestly, I've never really known what to do with this picture and I've looked at this now 3 times today, just now talking to you. I'm like, oh, it's the egg.
Really?
I get it. In the water. I was like, is it an oyster? Like, are they steaming something inside of a bowl?
Well, Melissa, in this one, the world is your oyster. And I'm glad you could figure that out here live. Which, as always, we are live streaming these. And I do see Dog Will Hunt in the chat, and OTDA, good friends of ours both. So if you're a podcast-only listener, please do check out us on Twitter, where it's like the only time that it's like, hey, in 5 minutes we're going live. So it's been very irregular. So eat more fiber.
There you go. And I will say it has been a very long week. So if I'm just now catching up on the illustration, well, at least I remembered there was one at all.
Right. So I actually put it up on the screen now.
Nice.
That's what it looks like. And yes, it is the golden egg in the water singing its mermish tune.
Okay, I think I know my problem with it. Not that the illustration is bad, but I think I know where I was stuck. In my head, the egg cracked open almost like an Easter egg on a hinge.
Oh, really?
So
Instead
like
of
the
long
rounder
ways?
part, yes. So instead of cutting it symmetrically, I would cut it almost horizontally.
I guess I've always thought it more of like a locket opening. Like that's how I don't know. I just have always thought of it that way because it's more of a piece of jewelry than it is a plastic.
I thought of it more of like almost like a hinged, like a jewelry box.
Mm-hmm. Sure. Yeah.
So I think you had the top that swung open from the top, and so the bottom would have to sit.
I think that's very reasonable.
So, all right.
Well, let's hit that music one more time.
Yeah. All right, Luke, let's go ahead and jump to the tub.
Splash.
I'm jumping in the bathtub.
Yeah, and so Harry decides he's going to go ahead and follow through and listen to Cedric's advice, and he heads up to...
Against his better judgment.
Right. He heads up to the prefect's bathroom, uses the password Pine Fresh, which I always remembered as just being silly, and it's just... I don't know, the passwords tend to stick out to me because it seems like they kind of try to tell you something behind the scenes of what's going on. Like a couple chapters ago, it was Balderdash, and there was a lot of malarkey going on around Harry at the time. So it's very fitting what the passwords tend to be. This is just kind of a silly. We're here to get cleaned up. And
small note, really quick. Did you notice that the password for the fat lady changed to banana fritters?
Banana fritters. Yep. And if you're paying attention, I highlight all of the passwords in orange, which means they are trivia questions for the end of book. Anytime there's a day of the week, a calendar date, a password, they get highlighted in orange in my Kindle. So pay attention, folks.
Great. Now you can't ask that.
Oh, I can. I've literally given it away. They always complain how difficult they are. They're so tough. Anyway, so... Harry gets into the bath, and he's just blown away by this swimming pool-sized bathtub, which, first question, do prefects use this together? Like, questions opening up on that?
I believe there is a question in the 5 burning questions section that we will
revisit.
Delve into privacy issues of the prefect's bathroom.
Okay, perfect. I'm not going to dawdle on that one then.
But I have concerns.
Right. Yeah, no, I think it's pretty reasonable. But overall, the description of the bathtub is just incredible. Do you have it at hand?
Literally in front of me. Here we go. His immediate reaction was that it would be worth becoming a prefect just to be able to use this bathroom. It was softly lit by a splendid candle-filled chandelier, and everything was made of white marble, including what looked like an empty rectangular swimming pool sunk into the middle of the floor. About 100 golden taps stood all around the pool's edges, each with a differently colored jewel set into its handle. There was also a diving board. Long white linen curtains hung at the windows. A large pile of white fluffy towels sat in a corner, and there was a single golden-framed painting on the wall. It featured a blonde mermaid who was fast asleep on a rock, her long hair over her face. It fluttered every time she snored.
100 golden taps with differently colored jewels. And then when he starts getting the water all going, and it's like, wow, all these different types of bubbles. Some are itty-bitty bubbles, some are huge bubbles. I just remember some bubbles the size of footballs, and another poured ice-white foam so thick that Harry thought it would have supported his weight if he'd cared to test it. You gotta love a magical bubble bath, right? Yeah,
I almost feel like this bath is wasted on children. And I know some well-placed middle-aged mothers who could use this sort of relaxing atmosphere. I'm just saying, I feel like there should be like the mom annex, right?
Madame Pomfrey's in here all the time. Right.
All the time. And
Yeah.
Sprout?
Oh, yeah. Yeah. Those are probably the two most motherly figures at Hogwarts.
You know McGonagall uses something. She just had her own built.
Hers is, no.
It's not
Hers
gonna
is
share.
just a stone basin with cold water. She is
No,
a
it is
hard
not.
woman.
No, it is not. It's the one place where she can actually like relax. But she would never use this one. She just has her own. She doesn't share.
No, absolutely not. Don't be ridiculous. So I certainly think it's also interesting that Harry finds himself not quite as alone as he initially thought. He's going through his bath and everything, and all of a sudden there's a little voice behind him that he recognizes.
Why? It's Moaning Myrtle.
Oh man, you've missed her, right?
I did, actually. I
really
like
interesting
Moaning Myrtle.
insert here. I always thought it was very funny. You know, like it makes sense that she would. It's one of her haunts. It's one of her things, right?
It is one of her things. And like she gets a backstory.
Right.
You know, like we knew about the girls who made fun of her and then I died and the big yellow eyes, blah, blah, blah. But the stalker ghost backstory, what do you do if a ghost is stalking you? Like, what is the level of threat of a stalker ghost?
I don't know. I think it's I mean they can't physically harm you, right?
Exactly.
It's really just a fear thing, I would guess.
It's an annoyance.
Sure, a nuisance, if you will.
But they can see, like, she's obviously in the bathroom.
Yeah.
So where else could she go?
Pretty much anywhere is what we're led to believe.
So, yeah, I think a stalker ghost would be a pretty intense, even without the physical abuse that could happen or physical aggression.
Mm-hmm.
That's still pretty bad.
Yeah, and it definitely opens up the door for ghost abilities, right? You know, it's they're not, well, at least she's not. Maybe not all ghosts have as much freedom as she does, because it seems like most of the time ghosts would be stuck to a single haunt. But if you're choosing to haunt a person, you can go wherever they go, kind of thing. Maybe it's, you know, like, how do those paranormal tethers work? But
I'm sorry, wherever the My Buddy and Kid
right.
Sister commercial songs from the late 80s.
My ghosty and me. Yeah. I also liked how Myrtle guilts Harry about not visiting her and his reaction to it.
Man, she's the perfect, like, hurt girlfriend, isn't she?
Oh, is there really such a thing as perfect hurt girlfriend? Like, come on.
Let me rephrase. The perfect characterization.
There you go.
Of a hurt girlfriend.
It's well described.
Yes. But you said...
Yeah. Oh, we got reprimanded for going in there, which was true. Yeah, Percy did give him a hard time. That was the first time they went in there.
He did.
And they continued going for the rest of the semester, but that's okay. She doesn't need to know that.
They never went again.
I wouldn't have.
Why would they? What's the point?
She served her purpose.
Yes. All right. Let's talk about the egg.
It's
really helpful that Myrtle was there.
Yes.
I mean, as annoying as Harry finds her, I actually, she serves a pretty good purpose. I like the use of her here. And the egg clue. That's brilliant.
Mm-hmm.
What? This is the genius that is J.K. Rowling. The idea of putting a clue in something that you can only understand when it's underwater.
Yeah, I really like the way that she does this, that J.K. has created this clue, because if you have no experience with mermish or mermaid culture at all, and you just hear this wailing and just complete nonsense shrieking sound, what are you gonna let's go open it up underwater. Like, that's not something you're gonna think of, not that easily, at least. You know, it's maybe by accident you can come across that. Without prior knowledge, it's not something you're accidentally gonna stumble across very easily. And
exactly.
So I really like the way this clue is devised, and especially because, it's the egg that he retrieved at the end of the first task. So it's, even the game design of the tournament is pretty strong.
I'm sorry. Hold on. I just got hit by a thought. The first challenge was fire.
Mm-hmm.
The second challenge is water.
Mm-hmm.
It's never been so explicit. We're going through
So prediction, the third challenge is clearly going to be Captain Planet.
Yes.
Right?
Mm-hmm.
Don't forget about Heart.
All our forces combined. What is it? Earth? Well, I was thinking Earth, Wind, Fire. So, but there's
Earth,
no water.
Fire, Wind, Water, Heart.
I was thinking of the band, but
I know.
Sure. Yes. So, and Heart.
And Heart. He's got a monkey, so it's all cool.
So yeah, like it's either going to be earth or air.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, that's all.
Maybe
that
both.
was like a whole new
World
realization that hit me, that
Real
maybe
life
that's where
Aladdin
this
coming
started
soon.
from. It was. So you went to Aladdin. I was actually thinking of the Little Mermaid because she could sing out of water.
Well, yeah, she could.
You know?
That was like her whole thing, right? Losing her voice.
Yeah.
That was like the whole thing.
But even like mermaid culture in outside of Disney, thinking of like the sirens in Germany and how they would sing to lure the sailors to, you know, crash and die on the rocks. That was all singing. But the idea of taking that myth, if you will, and flipping it on its head, that mermaids can't sing out of water, that it's this horrible piercing noise, I like that's even really smart. Of just taking something that everybody just accepts as mythological fact
and just challenging it of like, no, they wouldn't be able to speak above the water. Yeah.
Right.
Yeah, I like it.
Cool.
I like when she brings allusions, but like to old mythical things, and then jives them up just a little bit, just because she can, and it's her story. She writes the rules here.
Well, she is the author.
In this conversation with Myrtle, she gives Harry a hard time about being tactless, about talking about breathing. Like, it's so painful to listen to Myrtle sometimes. It's like, just stop. Like, no, no one cares. Like, that's the thing. I know. But
no,
like,
I
shut up.
I mean, so she is like, there are just sometimes kids who are extra, right? Either extra bossy or extra pompous or extra whatever, right? Ernie Macmillan comes to mind, extra pompous. Myrtle was probably a child who was extra whiny.
Yes.
You know, extra, oh, poor me. The problem is Myrtle never matured because she died in that phase.
Right.
So while I don't necessarily enjoy it, it makes so much sense to me that this extra kid
is eternally
is doomed to be extra whiny forever.
Oh yeah, no, it is completely by design that we are not supposed to like her, and I very much am frustrated every time.
Which means
it's well done. It's well done. It's just always funny that, you know, Harry's like, well, okay, well, she's gonna complain for a while. I'm just gonna think. Like, he just like takes that. He's like, I'm not gonna interrupt her because she's fine. Let's think about what we can do. And then he figures out the mermaid clue with a little bit of help, right? But he does a pretty good job on his own. He kind of works it out, and he sees the mermaid on the wall. And he's like, "Oh, that could make sense. Let's talk out loud." And at least we're led to believe that that's likely what it's going to be. But you know, it's certainly a good theory until proven otherwise for him to work toward.
I really like that he keeps asking. Like, I know you took the turn of tactless talking about breathing in front of me, and I look at the line. This is the first time I've ever looked at it this way because, you know, new additions to my world since the last time I've read this story. And he says, Myrtle, Harry said slowly, how am I supposed to breathe? Well, as a mother of a swimmer now, which I never was before when I was younger reading this, but now as a mother of a swimmer, breathing is overrated. It's the only sport you can get in trouble for breathing. You don't breathe. You don't need it. Breathe later. That's all.
Yeah. So. Or if you play a wind instrument in band.
Which my kid also does.
There you go. Look,
breathing
good lungs.
Is overrated.
Good lungs.
Ridiculously, actually. So
yeah.
All right.
Right along with that, I think it's good of Harry to figure that out. You know, that seems like it's typically more of a Hermione thing of like, okay, well, that's the problem, but like, here's like the other problem. Like, good job, Harry, at least thinking a bit. I mean, like, okay, that's gonna be difficult. Like...
So I opened it underwater. I figured it out. I got to get underwater. They're going to take a thing underwater. Okay. Oh, wait, I can't do that.
Mm-hmm. I feel like Harry before might not have put those together. His mental capacity, again, maybe I'm looking at the wrong way because his ability to adapt to problems as they arise has always been very strong. So maybe that's right up his alley to do that. But it's usually not until he's actually faced with it that he figures it out, I guess, is the difference that I see.
I was thinking more along the lines of it took him a little bit to figure it out. The reason he gets to figure it out is because Hermione's not there to do it quicker.
No, get out of here. Hermione's overrated.
Oh, I'm not disagreeing with you, although she is not. I'm just saying we don't get to see Harry usually work out these, like, yes, in the moments of...
Yeah, because she can't stop herself from...
Exactly.
Yeah.
She's so quick, and sometimes there's no time for her to wait, but sometimes there is, and she should. But he doesn't necessarily... Oh, I can't believe I'm going to say this. Harry doesn't always need Hermione to figure it out for him. Yeah. She's just faster.
Depending on the circumstances.
Yes, like it's possible he would be able to figure out something some of those things, he would just take much more time.
Unless it's actually an action-filled event,
Yes.
which Hermione has consistently kind of faltered or frozen a bit compared to Harry's ability in those times.
Yes, except for the logic puzzle in book one.
But that's a sit-down thinking part of it as opposed to getting the things done.
All right, so really the only other part of this chapter, if we're ready to get out of the bathtub.
Yeah, I think we're ready to get out of the bathtub.
We get stuck on a stair.
Yeah, right. The rest of it is stuck in a trick stair.
We were literally either in a tub or in a stair. That's it. And I want to talk about the stair before we talk about the scene at the stair.
Okay.
It said, and then halfway down the staircase, not thinking about what he was doing, not concentrating on anything but the peculiar behavior of Mr. Crouch, Harry's leg suddenly sank right through the trick step Neville always forgot to jump.
Mm-hmm. Yep, really? Neville's stair.
Really?
Sounds a lot like Devil's Snare, doesn't it? Sorry.
It does. I have I'm on a pro Neville, let Neville be Neville kind of a thing.
Let Neville be Neville.
That's right. We need a t-shirt. Put it on the list.
I'm putting it on the list right now.
Excellent. So we've heard about this step for 4 years now. It's been around since year one. We know the step exists. You could just say he fell into the trick step and got stuck, right? He could
that everyone knows about.
Why does she feel that the descriptor of Neville needs to be in there? Is it to either give us the descriptor of, oh my gosh, they're not going to remember because it's been a few years since they've read the books and they have to remember that the stair is here and I haven't mentioned it yet this book? Or is it, hey, I know, let's bring Neville in again and here's a way to do it. He's not even there and you're giving him trouble. That's all.
I think it's kind of both. Yeah, first time it's been mentioned in this book, so we have to unfortunately drag Neville's name through the mud again because that's what I do.
Yeah. Ugh.
But yeah, I noticed that as well. And let Neville be Neville. I'll just leave it at that.
Yeah, he is special in his own way and not for being forgetful or getting stuck in stairs or round face. What's next?
Well, we have the map falling out of Harry's hands. The egg. Am I jumping ahead?
No, I have a problem with this too.
Okay. Just go for it.
No, I realized. Hold on, wait. I had a whole thing. Okay, so the egg falls. It busts down the stairs. It wails open. The map falls. Harry's stuck in Neville's stair. Whatever. Harry pulls out his wand to wipe the map clean. Now, the first time I was reading this week, I was trying to go really fast. And I missed the fact that he pulled out his wand. So as I'm reading it, I'm going, man, why can't he just get his stuff, right? And then I went back and I was like, dude, he pulled out his wand to try and reach the map to wipe it clean. How about that Accio spell you just learned a few chapters ago there, Harry? That
it was like a whole thing.
Fly right at you.
Yeah.
I feel a little dumb that it's the first time I've ever thought that reading this chapter.
He's literally pulling like the most Dursley-ish, Mugglish version of trying to reach the map possible, right? It's like you're using literally a magic wand to try to knock something off the top shelf that you just can't reach. Like, it's just like, no, come on, man. Like, this is what you're in a magical school.
I mean, at the very least, Wingardium Leviosa that egg before it hits the ground.
Something. Do something. What would you say you do here?
Not magic.
Right. He just kind of had a brain fart, I think. And
yes.
It's so surprising because that's like his thing. Like, in the moment, that's usually when he shines. Really flubs this one up, though.
Maybe there was something in those bubbles.
Maybe there was. Maybe that could be it.
Okay, I'm good. So now we can get to how all the people come.
So the loud noise of the out-of-water mermaid, egg shrieking in the hallway, right in the corridor. Filch comes flying. Snape comes flying, which we didn't really mention, but Harry was decided to go this way because he saw Mr. Crouch's name on the map in Snape's office. Personal study or whatever. So he's heading this way towards Snape's office. So Harry stuck underneath the invisibility cloak in the stair, wand in his hand, egg on the ground at the bottom of the stairs, map a couple stairs down as well. And here comes Snape as well. And I like how it says, literally the only person that could make the situation worse showed up next, and it was Snape. And yes, because Snape is kind of the worst. And of course it's Snape, right? Of course, because who else would Harry be this frustrated, frazzled around? But Moody also shows up and kind of questions them like, hey, what are you guys doing? Because they can't see Harry, but only Moody can see Harry. Another line that I really like is when Harry's like, and then Moody got there, and only he saw just how ridiculous this scene was.
Yes, like, I see you, oh, I see you, oh, you.
Moody could see through invisibility cloaks. He alone could see the full strangeness of the scene. Snape in his nightshirt, Filch clutching the egg, and he, Harry, trapped in the stairs behind them. Moody's lopsided gash of a mouth opened in a surprise. For a few seconds, he and Harry stared straight into each other's eyes. Then Moody closed his mouth and turned his blue eye upon Snape again. He's like, hey, someone broke into your office, huh? What's up with that?
Right, like, what can I do here? I'm gonna be like every good teacher, and I'm gonna start asking questions. That a good teacher and a good detective.
Yep.
And he does. He just asks question after question after question.
Yeah, definitely. And we find out that Moody actually searched Snape's office at the beginning of the year, Auror's privilege, and Snape rebounds with, that's not really cool, and I don't really believe that Dumbledore asked you to do that. Dumbledore trusts me. And Moody follows up with, well, I believe that some stains don't rub out. And right when he says that, Snape does something very strange and grabs his forearm. What do you think about that?
I don't really know.
Clearly was jolted by something, right? I mean, that's...
So this kind of goes with a note that I had just in general about the scene, is that there are some very specific power dynamics happening here.
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you've got Mrs. Norris with some power over Harry because she's the only one in the we're going to get you camp who can sense him by his freshly laundered smell or whatever.
His freshly laundered skin.
Yes, exactly. I said smell.
I know.
It's funny.
I've never thought about a bath or a shower being skin laundering.
You're welcome.
That's a new
one.
one.
On the thing you learned today.
There we go. I can go to bed now.
Okay. So Mrs. Norris has this power over Harry. Well, Filch has power over Mrs. Norris. Like, he just kind of does. But when Snape shows up, he definitely has power over Filch. Because Filch is very much like, oh, I'm going to get him. And Snape's like, no, this is more important. We're going to do this. And Filch is kind of subdued by Snape. Mm-hmm. But then when Moody comes, he overpowers Snape. We don't really know why, other than, and Snape is not one to sort of back down, but he does to Moody. Mm-hmm. And I think the arm grabbing thing, and just in general, different points in this particular scene, it's so odd to see Snape not being the alpha.
Right.
And
not just with Dumbledore. Even when Dumbledore's around, he still plays that card until Dumbledore takes it away from him, right? I mean, he plays that up until Albus kind of puts him in his place, being like, no, it's fine. Like, stop it. Right. That's enough, Severus.
Yeah, exactly. This is more like literally at one point, Moody just laughs at him. Go back to bed, Snape.
You can't tell me what to do.
Which is almost exactly what it says. You don't have the authority to send me anywhere.
Yeah.
And then Moody almost threatens him, right? I would look forward to meeting you in a dark corridor sometime.
It's a really interesting dynamic between those two characters. And you would think, like, wow, this is Moody's first year on the job. Like, if you're going to look at, colleague dynamics, Snape certainly has the seniority. I guess you could look at, Moody's social persona. Life experience, just age. And... I think there's a certain respect that goes along with that. So potentially that's all it is, but it seems like there's something more, right?
Yeah, I feel like there's more, but at the same time, it could just be that Moody doesn't care. I don't need to listen to him. He is just some power-hungry teacher, and here I am, and I've dealt with the worst wizards and blah, blah, blah.
Yeah, what's he going to do to me? Yeah.
To me, little teacher who, you know what I mean? Who knows? But Moody is not having any of Snape's mess there.
Shenanigans.
There you go. That's the word. All right. So then, the only other note I really had here was about Filch.
Okay.
Because Filch kind of helped Harry out in a really weird way.
How so?
By immediately assuming it was Peeves.
Yes.
It was almost blatantly not Peeves because it was a champion's egg, right? And process of elimination, not going to be Fleurs. She's out in the flying house. Probably not going to be Crumbs. He's out on the boat. That leaves two possible people whose eggs that could be.
Yeah, it certainly
it's the
seems
one time that if Snape jumped to the it's gotta be Potter thing, That's reasonable. But because Filch had so desperate, so immediately said, it's Peeves, he's stolen this, I can get him now, because that's his lane.
Mm-hmm.
That's always his concern, is what's Peeves doing wrong. And so his bias against Peeves worked in Harry's favor to keep most of the heat off of him during the majority of that conversation.
I also really think this is one of those points where, if Harry didn't have, walk around with a guilty conscience all the time, he probably would have just been okay. He didn't have to be walking around in the invisibility cloak. He had every right to be out there. And even if he is out of bed late, he's a champion. And he's Harry Potter. He's not going to get in trouble.
Harry freaking Potter.
He's literally trying to do the thing that he's been tasked with doing. If he just would have been oh yeah, that's mine. I was just trying to work out the clue. And sorry for the disruption. Snape probably never would have come out. It just would have been him and Filch. Filch would have tried to giving him detention or something, but that would not have happened because it's Harry. So,
and it's a champion thing. He was really just doing, except maybe he was in a different part of the castle than he should have been.
It's not a restricted area, as far as we know.
I mean, it is nighttime. He's not supposed to be out.
He's a champion. He's
exempt from things like rules.
He kind of is. Sorry, Lorelai. That's kind of where he's at right now.
And she's not even here. That's not true. She's in that room. Right there.
But he kind of is in a very privileged spot right now because of the nature of what he's been forced into.
Yes.
And it's one of those, if you would just let that ride here, use it. Use that cachet. You're fine. Just leave it alone. But it's Harry. He's so used to sneaking around that he just goes to that first.
Which was why it makes him so endearing, because he doesn't ever use that trump card that he doesn't even realize he carries.
Yes, I completely agree. My only other note here is Moody saying that he himself was nothing compared to Crouch for, obsession on trying to catch dark wizards back in the day. I thought that was an incredibly interesting statement. We've only really seen Crouch being, really stern and banker-ish, and that's kind of been it. I don't know if we really have much on his history of used to catch dark wizards too.
No, but he was pretty rough on Winky.
Sure.
So, he's definitely not there's definitely a hardness.
Yeah, stern, hard. Yeah, absolutely.
All we've got.
Yep. So I just thought that was very, very peculiar.
Okay. Alrighty. So we're going to get into what I like to call our favorite time. It is. It's our favorite time. It's the best time of day. It's the 5 burning questions.
5 burning questions. Question number 1. Were you surprised by the idea of merpeople being introduced in the books?
Okay,
first time through, I guess.
Let me think back. It's been a while.
Mm-hmm.
My brain's not what it used to be. No, I'm just. I don't think so. I think it was oh, well, yeah. That makes I didn't. It's not like I had predicted it, but at that point we had centaurs, we had unicorns, owls were the postmen. Merpeople, them I've heard of. That made sense. So yeah, I wasn't surprised at all.
Yeah, I'm kind of with you. It's one of those. There have been a lot of these of I definitely wouldn't have predicted it. It going after book 3, oh, we're gonna meet, we're gonna hear about a new thing being introduced in book number 4. Guess what it is? No one's gonna say merpeople, but it's one of those. It just so naturally fits that you're oh, well, that's clearly been in the world the whole time. That, no question about it.
Right.
So I figured you would feel the same way about it. There's been a lot of those of yeah, that just fits. That doesn't seem like a stretch in the least.
No, not at all.
Question 2. How does privacy work within the prefect's bathroom?
So I have 2 answers to this. My first answer is I assume there's a Johnny on the spot type sign when someone goes in. You go in and you turn the sign and it says occupied. I'm sure there's some sort of magical notice. The door is locked and there's an occupied sign. That's what I hope for.
It's just so enormous. It's I don't know. It leads you to believe it's for multiple people, right?
So, are there toilets and sinks and things too? That is also I also have concerns there. But then my question is this: only prefects can get in there, so that's what 2 prefects per house for
5, 6, 7,
5, 6, and 7. So that's 6 per house. 24 people. 24 people, right? could you sneak somebody in with you? Like, is there a so if it is just a one person only, like, could I hold the door open and two of us come in on my one prefect entry? This is a school of teenagers, and I'm way too much of an adult to not be worried about this. That's where I'm going to leave it.
Yes.
Because this is a family friendly show. But the mom in me is a little worried about the occupancy levels.
Yeah, it's questionable, and maybe there are like certain times where it's boys access only, girls access only. Like, I don't know, it still seems odd.
Or maybe there's some swimwear requirements that Harry doesn't know about that you're supposed to have.
He didn't read the guidelines that they all get at the beginning of the year for when they get their prefect's badge.
I mean, and let's also remember that they are prefects, so one would think for the most part they're probably very uptight and rule following anyway, so more trustworthy than your average everyday student.
Melissa doesn't trust you unless you're a prefect. That's what she's saying.
No, Melissa doesn't trust you even if you're a prefect. But I'm saying the school works upon the honor system of, by giving you, with great power comes great responsibility. # Spider-Man.
There you go. Very, very true.
Thank you, Uncle Ben.
Question number 3. How can the Ministry of Magic enforce the paranormal restraining order that Moaning Myrtle seems to have been put under, right?
Oh.
Because Olive Hornby apparently went to the Ministry of Magic and like said, this has to stop. So how do they enforce that? If you'd like to revisit in the unrestricted section, we can very much do that.
No, I'm okay. I think I'm trying to decide, like, what do you do with?
They call the Ghostbusters.
Okay, so in my head, this is what I'm trying to do. I'm trying to figure out if there's a way to set up one of those like invisible fences you do for dogs, where you put like the collar on the dog, and it like zaps they go over the line. And we can't put anything on a ghost, but I'm wondering if there's some sort of magical enchantment.
It would be a ward, right? Warding off bad spirits.
Yes, but as opposed to warding off the bad spirits, it would be a ward to contain that would zap them if they leave. That's what I'm going with.
Proximity that she can't leave any of the bathrooms at this point.
I think at one point it says she goes to the lake.
She also went to the Death Day party. So
within the bounds of Hogwarts, and maybe Hogsmeade, like I don't know. The bounds might be fairly large depending on the ghost. But yeah,
a lot of good ghost questions though. I have questions.
Okay.
Question number 4. Why was Mr. Crouch at Hogwarts?
Secret meeting with Dumbledore.
Maybe. And he thought that Dumbledore was in Snape's office?
Maybe he got lost.
Maybe. Yeah, I don't know. It's questionable, that's for sure. And also
questionable to me.
Our good friend Jem, who will be joining us in the unrestricted section, is hanging out with us live in the live chat. She says, "Please don't make me talk about ghosts again." Definitely check out the podcast 9 3/4 ghosts episode. I think it came out around Halloween last year. Very, very good stuff as always. If you like magical theory, please check them out. They are bloody brilliant for sure. But we might make you talk about ghosts. We'll see.
I was just looking at my notes. I don't think I have any ghost notes for the recap. So I got lots of other notes, so you just wait. I'm very excited.
Question 5, the last of the burning questions this chapter. Is this really the first time Peeves would have stolen something? Right? Do you understand what I'm asking? Because Filch is like, "Oh, you've been stealing, you pilfering poltergeist. You're gonna be out of here for sure this time." Like, is this really the first time? It wasn't Peeves, but if it had been, that Peeves would have stolen something? Like, that seems like a poltergeisty thing to like, "Hey, I misplaced something," because the poltergeist took it.
Yeah, no, literally, I'm sure he has stolen many things this week.
Right. It seems like it's right in his skill set. Like, that's kind of what he does.
What does it just say you do here?
What would you say?
I steal things.
I steal things and cause mass disruption. That's why I'm
water
here.
Balloons at people who are already wet. Right. That's what I do.
So that is all that I had for questions this chapter.
And this brings us to our chapter superlatives. We're going to start with our favorite line. Luke, what was your favorite line?
My favorite line, again, was kind of a section, but I'm not going to read the whole thing. And for some reason, I'm not seeing my highlight. Oh, no.
Towards the end of the chapter.
There's nothing there, Snape, barked Moody, but I'll be happy to tell the headmaster how quickly your mind jumped to Harry Potter. Meaning what? Snape turned again to look at Moody, his hand still outstretched inches from Harry's chest. Meaning that Dumbledore's very interested to know who's got it in for that boy, said Moody, limping nearer still to the foot of the stairs. And so am I, Snape, very interested. The whole section is really what I'm referencing of Snape just cowering before Moody and still trying to put on a tough face. But Moody is just so tougher, so much tougher than Snape, and I just love it.
All right. So my favorite line was not nearly as deep or character delving as you. It has been, I realized today, a very long time since I've gotten to rant on my favorite people to rant on. And so I found a line that actually let me do that. This is Harry realizing he's very excited. The second task is to go to the lake and find the mer people. But suddenly he realized what he was saying, and he felt the excitement drain out of him as though someone had just pulled a plug in his stomach. He wasn't a very good swimmer. He'd never had much practice. Dudley had had lessons in his youth, but Aunt Petunia and Uncle Vernon, no doubt hoping that Harry would drown one day, hadn't bothered to give him any.
A nice little Dursley addition, right? Yeah, just...
It's so nice to be able to remind ourselves of just how terrible they are. They are my favorite people to hate.
Yeah, we haven't seen them literally in 20 chapters. And just one line, and you're like, yep, no, they're awful. I hate them.
They're the worst.
One line, and you're like, yep, that's why they're awful.
Yep. All right. Luke, let's jump over to not what. It's not a what. It's a who. Who was your chapter MVP?
I'm going to give it to someone who's gotten a bunch of these lately. Mad Eye Moody. I think he's been a very, very strong character since we've met him, and I like that he instantly sees what's going on, this ridiculous scene that Harry finds himself in. Again, Harry probably could have avoided it just by, being who he is, but Moody kind of seeing that and realizing, yeah, I'm going to go ahead and help him out again here. It doesn't hurt me any. He's not likely really doing anything to cause trouble. I'll get him out of this one. And then the way he treats Snape, I'm a big fan of.
Yeah, I can appreciate a good Snape put down.
A Snape snipe?
Yes.
Who are you giving your honorable mention to?
Oh, so I wanted to give it to Moody. And then simply because he was mentioned, I wanted to give it to Peeves, but he wasn't in the chapter, so I guess I couldn't technically give it to him. So I went with the other non-human entity. I went with Myrtle, who's really more of a what than a who. Simply because she did, in her very own extra way, help Harry figure out his clue. And I liked the backstory. It's just funny that she haunted this woman until she was put on castle arrest or something like that.
Castle arrest. It's perfect as far as we know. Yeah, I love it.
So I just really enjoy, I like Myrtle. She would be terrible to be around in person, but she is an excellent character to meet in a book. And that wraps us up for tonight. You can find us on Twitter at NotNamedPodcast. You can email us any of your digital owls at thepodcastthat@gmail.com. You can find us on our website, thepodcastthat.com, and only if you download this episode today on Sunday when this releases, or if you're listening to us live, go to thepodcastthat.com, click our support us, click our TeePublic link. TeePublic is having a t-shirt sale. We have a ton of brand new designed shirts designed by Luke, designed by our friend Sanrixian for this show and all of our shows at the podcast, that family of podcasts, that you can get for a very discounted price. A lot of the t-shirts are only $13. Everything else is discounted as well, I believe, this weekend. So check that out today. If you're not listening to this on Sunday, check them out anyway, because there are some amazing shirts in there. I'm going to tell you about two of my favorites. One of my favorites is one that says, "I'm with Smarmy Lukehart." So if Smarmy Lukehart is somebody near and dear to your heart, get a t-shirt that proves it. Or if you are like our target audience perspective, Lorelai, you can always find a shirt that says #blame Malfoy, #blame Malfoy, #blame Malfoy, because why not?
Yeah, I've had a lot of fun creating some of these t-shirts, and we've got a lot more coming up. So keep your eye on the TeePublic store, because as soon as a new shirt goes up, for the first 3 days, no matter when it is, flash sale or not, that shirt, the new one, is discounted as well. So keep your eye on the Twitters for new shirts as they come up. And subscribe to this show and leave us likes and comments and rates on iTunes and on YouTube. Subscribe to YouTube because we are live streaming this right now with our friends in the chat. Thank you all for joining us. It's been very fun. And if you are looking for a new podcatcher to listen to your shows on, listen to this Not Named podcast on Radio Public. It is free, it is easy to use, and it does help listeners like you find and support shows like ours. When you listen to our show on Radio Public's Android or iOS app, everybody benefits.
Join us next time when we hit our 5-chap recap.
We need a jingle for that.
We do.
We have a full song at least, but I'm not going to insert that here. Anyway.
No, you're welcome, people.
Until then, stay imaginary.
Thanks.